We're starting this week, Be'ezrat Hashem, Sefer Bamidbar. And Bamidbar in English is called what? Numbers. The question is, why did they call it in English Numbers? And we call it Bamidbar. In Hebrew it's Bamidbar. Either they should call Sefer Bamidbar, Sefer Misparim, numbers, or we should call it the desert. So of course, the Parashat starts with the description of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shvatim and so on and so forth. You know, how they position themselves and the station. This thing is really, turn it off. That's it. And then there is, in the beginning of the Parashat, there's a description of or commandment to count the people, and then again we count the people towards the end. And what's all this business? Why did we have to go to the desert to begin with? Why the Torah was given in the desert? Take us express to Israel. Find a place here, Jerusalem, I don't know, whatever you want. Give Bnei Brak, give the Torah over there. That's it, end of the story. It's a finish. All this, look how much headache we could have solved, with the spies, yes spies, no spies, this, that, get inside and that's it. So, when we have such obvious questions, or maybe such not important questions, maybe there's something greater hidden in that could help us get some kind of an idea about our lives as well. Maybe. So remember, we always speak about the vulnerability and the importance of transition, or the time between two different states of mind or different stations in one's life. So much that even in schools, in education, there is a special transition coordinator that is in charge of transitioning the students into life. So transition is very important. Am Yisrael was in Mitzrayim. And by the way, you think that Yetziat Mitzrayim is going to be different than, let's say, when Mashiach comes and we all pack our stuff and we go to Israel? Do you think it's going to be the same, or we will have to go to some kind of like a cleansing period? We'll stop maybe in Europe for a little while, eat some croissant and baguettes, and maybe near there. You think it's going to be the same? I'll show you. I don't think so. When Am Yisrael was in Mitzrayim, there was something very symbolic that happened at the eve of them of coming out of Egypt, and that was slaughtering the lamb, right? And then what did they do with the blood? Doorpost. Yeah. Why did they do that? Why did they do it?
To show everybody. To show them.
To show the world that we love rock and roll. Well, to show what?
To show the Egyptians.
To show the Egyptians what? If you were a Jew there, imagine in ghetto Warsaw, in some kind of a ghetto somewhere, right? The Jews will paint the door. We're about to escape, so we're going to paint the door so the Gestapo can come. What are you, crazy? What was that for? So we know. So leman ki hamashchit lo yavo. So the Midat Adin is not going to come through. It's going to skip on the houses. That's what we call it Pesach. Right? So that's what it tells us, but there's other things to it as well. When Bnei Israel were in Mitzrayim, they were in a certain state of mind. They were there for X amount of years. They had acquired certain type of habits and patterns of behavior. And they became a nation of slaves and quite Egypticized themselves in the process. Here, that they paint the doorposts, it's a symbolism of coming out from where you are into something else. What is the most dangerous part, for example, in flying? Besides when your pilot has a heart attack or is drunk. Takeoff and landing. Why? Transitioning. If a person is about to attack you with a punch, when he is most vulnerable, right when he's transitioning from the back to the front, so it means when he's in the middle, that's when he's most vulnerable. If you're fast and good enough, that's where you get him. Am Yisrael is transitioning now from slaves, and they're leaving the door. Here, this is the perimeter. This is the secure perimeter the way. We were slaves, and we're going to define that by putting this on the door. We're going to go out of this now. And we're going to give you protection, don't worry. We're going to have those clouds of glory which protect you in this transition. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes us to the desert. When we come to Eretz Israel, it's another consonant, there's another situation where you're in your land, so you need to have governments, and you have to have laws, you have to have this, you have to have that, you have to have this, and so on and so forth. How do you go from here to here? You can't go express. You have to transition. In a way, in concept, Sefer Bamidbar is the Sefer Bereshit of Am Yisrael. Not Exodus. Bamidbar. Look, there were 6 days of creation. How many 12 tribes of Am Yisrael are? 12. Morning, Vayerev, Vayiboker, Vayerev, Vayiboker. First day, 6 days, 7 days, right, and so on and so forth. That gives you 12 tribes. So now they're coming up to receive the Torah. And they can only receive the Torah in the desert. You know what's good about the desert? What's good about the desert is that there's nothing there. People are afraid from nothing. People want everything, structured or defined to them the way they would know, and so they could relate to it in a certain way, in a prescribed behavior which they have, and then so on and so forth. Chazal tells us, the Torah tells us, there's nothing wrong with going to the desert. If you see things are not going so well in the city, morals are down, virtues and values are in non-existence, go to the desert. In other words, regroup. Am Yisrael goes to the desert, Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe Rabbeinu, start counting them. It's going to start with counting. You know why it's going to start in counting? Why? Very simple. What do we know about Machatzit Shekel? Machatzit Shekel, who gives Machatzit Shekel? Anybody from the age of 22?
60.
Any difference if you make a lot of money, you don't make? Everybody is equal. So I'm going to start counting you. You should know that, first of all, there is no caste system here among us. We're all the same. We are all the same, and you see that it doesn't make a difference if you're 40 years old, or you're 20 years old, or you're 25, or you're 55. They are all the same. Everybody's the same here. Not only that we're all the same, in the positioning of, if this is the Mishkan, right? In the positioning of Am Yisrael, since there are 12 tribes, right? So it's 3, 3, 3, and 3. And everybody is in equal distance from the holy, from the center. There's no tribe that is closer. Because when you go to Eretz Israel, if you define the focal point of spiritual Judaism as being the temple, so if you sit in Shevet Naphtali, somewhere in the Galil, let me tell you, a little further from Shevet Binyamin or Shevet Yehuda, that you're pretty close by. So everybody is equal to the Kodesh. When you come to approach Torah, there is no such thing as system of hierarchy. We're all equal in front of God. It's a noble concept that I think initiated the dead point in the desert, that there's no caste. We're all equal in the eyes of God. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. I'm not quite sure you like to hear it. That can only happen in a place when everything is temporary. When everything is temporary and you focus all your intellect on what is important, not on what is not important. Sorry for all the people who are doing construction and so on and so forth, but this is really not important. Yeah, if you sell it, it's fine, but don't let it into you. This is not the focal point of your life. This is not what you came to this world here for. More than that. It says in the Torah that if you, upon entering the land, you would like to have a king, well, you should do a king that would be so on and so forth. The question is, what in the world do I need a king for? I don't want a king. I have a king. God is my king. I'll tell you why. Because we don't want to regard each and every one of us as equal. We like to deviate. We like to separate. We like to put caste system. He's closer to me. We associate by geographic location. We associate to each other by nationality, in terms of like, I'm an English Jew, you are a Scottish Jew, or you are an Irish Jew, so therefore I like Manchester United, and you like Celtic Glasgow, and therefore we can, we have a problem. Or I'm from LA, or I'm a Jew from Boston, and I like the Red Sox, and you are a Jew from New York, and you like the Yankees. So God forbid, we have a problem here. I think that we don't want to see and treat everybody equal. And we want to have somebody on top of us as a king. For one reason. We want somebody to rule us, so we will have a reason and an ability and an opportunity to rule others. We are not equal. We don't want to be equal. We will say we are equal, but we don't. We don't mean it. Why? Because we came out of the desert and we came into urban society, okay, where all of a sudden you define by the things you possess, not by the quality and the trait that you have as a person, by your hospitality, by your caring, and so on and so forth. Look at Avraham Avinu. All our forefathers, all the patriarchs lived in the desert. Why did they live in the desert? They didn't want to fall into the rat race. There is the rat race. There's the horse race. There's the dog race. And there is sometimes the disgrace that is called the human race. Think about it. You would rather have somebody rule over you so you could justify your ruling over others. You don't want to see everybody equal. We don't have this ability, and we miss so much of that. We don't have the ability to look at a person as he is. Naked, stripped from all this shenanigans that we put on ourselves. We define people by the clothes they wear, by the cars they drive, by the type of kippah they wear, by the hair and so on and so forth, and on and on and on and on and on. It is a tremendous missed opportunity. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, in order for Am Yisrael entering the land and becoming different from the rest of the nations, when one oppresses the other, they need to have a certain moment of harmony. They need to create their own Sefer Bereshit, their own Genesis, their own beginning, where we all equal. And he's going to start like this. Count all the people. You're all equal. Everybody's equal. It doesn't make a difference if you're poor, it doesn't make a difference if you're rich, you all share the same thing. That situation, that position, that everybody is equal, allows us to actually practice harmony. When I could really be myself, and you could be yourself, and we can rejoice together. We have this sometimes, we have it like this. And that's the whole concept of Simchat Torah. Kol Israel, every Jew is a part of the Torah. However, even in the Torah world sometimes, we don't treat it the same. Simchat Torah, where we're all dancing in something together. Rabbanim, I don't know, Chilonim, Chamorim, we're all dancing together. It's true joy. When a person is truthfully joyous and he sees the other person truthfully joyous together with him, there is harmony. There's this burst of authentic happiness that creates harmony. Unfortunately, there's always the minute after, or the moments after, or the days after, when we all fall into the cast of the thing. When we are busy creating something, it was the same thing like creating the state of Israel. This burst of joy when they announced the state of Israel. And you know I'm not a big Zionist. But there was a moment in history, it was a beautiful moment in Am Yisrael's history, that people burst together in a celebration of joy, all together, where all the ranks were removed. There were no generals and privates, lieutenants and civilians. Everybody was dancing with everybody. Almost like the famous picture of the end of World War II, when they had the sailors and the soldier came, and the guy gives this girl a kiss, strangers were kissing strangers for the world, for the war has ended. We had to go to the desert. That transition in between the stages helps you really define yourself for the next stage. And it's very dangerous. Why? The same thing as a baby. While it's in the mother's stomach, he's okay. After he goes out, he's okay. When is the most dangerous time for the baby? When he's in the birth canal. In between. He's not here, he's not there. He's not here, he's not there. That's why it's important to understand that everybody has a right to live. And we do whatever we can to save the baby. To the point that we have a Mechalel Shabbat. We desecrate the Shabbat, the woman gives birth, get into the car, drive. It's this transition time. It's the same thing. Ben Hashmashot. It goes very well in the time even in Halacha. Ben Hashmashot. It's not exactly night. It's not exactly day. Be very careful. Ben Hashmashot is very careful. It's a tremendous time of mysterious energy. If you know how to manipulate it, and you take this magical moment, it's like those moments which I've told you many times, the moment right before dawn, right before daybreak, and the moment right after sunset, when the sky is beautiful with colors of red, and it's an enormous time. I told you many times in the desert where I was stationed for 4 years in the mountains of Sinai, and looking at the sunset, and it didn't make a difference how macho you were, you would eventually sit down and you would see hundreds of people simply sitting down and watching a sunset. And there is tremendous quiet and harmony at this miraculous event of the sun setting down. It wasn't that people became romantic. Yes, it was a good chance for you if you want to initiate something. However, you would tell right away the person is new to the place, because really people that have been there would simply stop and look down at this most magnificent sunset that you've ever seen in a desert, up in the mountains. The mountains were black. We used to call it the Moon Valley. It looked like a moon. The mountains were black. And until today, the sign, the symbol, the emblem of the base is blue sky, black mountains, and a red sky, a red sun, dot in the middle. Transitioning time is very important. We don't have that. We came into this society and we forgot that. And then we lose a lot in our lives, that we've forgotten this ability to look at a person for who he is. In the desert, we're all equal. How wonderful that is if we let our insecurities down and be able to look at a person for who he is. You'll see that people are not that bad. However, when we start fighting and argue and quarrels and fighting, and this one jealous, how come he, how come that? We wanted status. That's why Korach was so hated, because he created such a chaos. What do you mean? Until that point, nobody complained about a caste society, that this one is higher than this one. Okay, Moshe was like this, Aaron was like this, everybody was okay. It doesn't make a difference, we're all okay. All of a sudden comes this Potts, and he now creates a problem. And since then, Am Israel is downhill. And we get the meraglim, we get the spies that lie, and we fight and we argue and we look at this nation and we look at that nation, and guess what? Because of that, they messed it up for us. 40 years we're in the desert. Instead of creating this harmony and carrying it over to Am Israel, maybe we would not be sitting today in America. Maybe things would have been completely different, and we would have been in a totally different state, and we could really be what we were meant to be, light for the nations. Because we kept on fighting while we're in the land. Yes, as long as they were busy fighting, when they were fighting neck to neck, and there are no heroes, there are no atheists in the foxhole, as they say, right? Everybody, so it's okay. And if you're in a battle, it doesn't make a difference if that's your sergeant, or that's your major, or that's your private. When you're fighting, we're all equal in this, because the bullet is not going to differentiate me because I'm a major, and hit him because he's a private. It hits whoever it hits. We did not carry this over. They destroyed it for Am Israel for generations. So if you think we lost, you're not lost. Why is that? Because when Chazal told us, when the outside is overwhelmed with corruption and disharmony, bring yourself back to the desert. I'll tell you what the desert is. The desert is here in the yeshiva. When you're coming to learn, this is your only opportunity to shed down your fears, your weaknesses, and be just like anyone else. When you come and you learn in the yeshiva, when you have a chavruta, you could be a guy who just starting, and you're sitting down with a big rabbi, you're learning, and all of a sudden he says, this is your point, you're learning well, you're actually rejuvenating each other. And Chazal saw it. And they said, Mikol melamdai iskalti, I learn from everybody, but from my students, I learn the most. So this is rejuvenation. We're all equal to the Torah because we all receive it, and we all have parts in the Torah. Each and every one of us has a part. Since we all know that each and every one of us has a part, therefore I cannot take your own share. So therefore there's no need for me for envy or animosity or jealousy or anything like this. You have your share, I have my share. So therefore your only ability to start creating harmony and understanding in your life is to come here and to come and learn and to be equal. Because there will be nowhere else in the world where you would be allowed to be yourself and equal. The Midbar, the desert, is here. ולא דיברה התורה אלא בלשון בני אדם. התורה דיברה, לדבר, מדבר is like מדבר. And the only thing we should speak is דברי תורה. רבותיי, if we are not going to realize and internalize this, we are not going to have a vibrant community. A vibrant community, to have communal life, is that we all equal and we all equally contributing for one cause. But we don't have a community. And there is no such thing as a community anymore. Why? Because we are all locked up in our houses, in our businesses, and we all associate ourselves with whoever has more money and more influence and so on and so forth, rather than to look at the person in front of us and accept him for who he is. Do not forget that as much as we do it to others, others do it to us as well. And it's very hard for us to break, that cycle in life, unless, again, if you come here. Here, in Bet Midrash, the decoration of the Bet Midrash is books, chairs, and tables. Mountains, sand, and rocks. That's it. There's no chandeliers, and there's no mirrors on the ceiling, pink champagne on eyes. And we're all equal here. We're all equal here. And that's something that we have to remember. It's a tremendous, tremendous musar. Look at this missed opportunity of Sefer Bamidbar, how positively it starts and how we miss it. If you would like to know, our society today, to my humble and very insignificant opinion, and I really mean that, is that we don't transition the people from one point to another. We push them. There's no gap, right? You finish elementary school, being pushed into high school, being pushed into college, being pushed out to the world. There's no time where you could rest. The same thing as if you make dough, right? When you make dough, you mix all the ingredients, you knit the dough, you pound it, you break it, you smack it, you trash it, you whatever you do, and then you gotta let it rest, let it rise, let it rest. The same thing with you. You are rushing like chickens with no heads, like rats out of a sinking boat, from one activity to the other. You don't develop. You become disharmonious. And you're full of fears that you're missing something out of life. You miss absolutely nothing. The only thing you miss is you miss your own life. There's nothing wrong if you will take a break from high school into college. There's nothing wrong if you will take a break and pause between undergraduate school to graduate school. There's nothing wrong if you'll take a pause and you take a break between that and going to work. But you don't. And you run. And you take more. And you run away because you don't really want to be harmonious. This is why you try to spend more time out of here than actually here. And that's why your life will be disharmonious. And you will be judgmental. And others will be to you as well. There's nothing wrong if you take a break and you sit in time one time, look at the sunset, or look at the horizon. If you would internalize whatever happened to you in the past year, and it does not have to be once a year on Yom Kippur, because then you're busy being hungry. Take a little trip. Go somewhere. Go to the mountains. I find hiking a tremendous thing. Why? Because when you go hiking, first of all, you keep quiet. Keep your mouth shut. When people go hiking, they sometimes have a tendency to talk. And when people talking hiking, I try to run. One time I took a group of guys, we went to the mountains. Some guy would not stop talking. With Bono Shel Olam, shake it, quiet. But go develop this hobby of hiking. You walk, and it's quiet, and you feel harmony. And when the time will come, you'll be able to judge if the one that you're dating is the right one for you, not by what she is saying, but rather how comfortable you are when you are not saying anything. If you go on a date and you feel uncomfortable, or the situation is uncomfortable between you and your datee who is sitting right next to you, where you're standing for 5 minutes or 10 minutes quiet, that's not the one. You know that's the one where you could sit there for an hour and say absolutely nothing. Then you know you have harmony. There's no need to say anything. It's harmonious. So you need to go out. And you need to stop running like dogs after their tails. Because where are you running? Where are you running? The only place you're running, you're right, is to the grave. So why are you running? Walk slowly. Take your time. What's this rush? Because when you're disharmonious, I can control you. But if you're harmonious, it will be very difficult for me to persuade you to do something that you don't want to do. Our life is like that. The way we raise our children is like this. We push, 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 push. Take your time. Take some time. You finish your undergraduate. Good. Sit down in yeshiva for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. Nothing will happen. Ribono shel olam, God Almighty. If you're going to retire at the age of 67, if you start working when you're 27, you have 40 years, like in the desert, 40 years of working, trabajo, every single day. So what's the big deal if you're 22 or 23 and you took a little break? You need the energy. You need to charge your energy to 40 years now to go. Where are you running? Where are you running? And the pressure will mount on you all the time. Because all of a sudden, oh my goodness, the kid is 18 3/4. He needs to get married. Oh, 21. You're an old guy. Well, that's too much. Get married. Okay. I got married when I was 23. Okay, terrific. I made it. You're 23? No, how long you been married? 8 months? No. Let the relationship mature, transition. You need to transition from being a kid, single, to a married person. Transition. It takes time. After you transition into that, then transition to being a daddy or being a mommy. Do it slowly. Take your time. Because if you push it, you create resistance. And that's something that you don't want to do in life. Life would resist you, give you plenty of resistance and obstacles without asking. Don't handle from yourself. Sefer Bamidbar, Rabotai, is Sefer Genesis of Am Yisrael, is the book of harmony of Am Yisrael. Learn it well, think about it. Shabbat Shalom.